Hello, everybody. Intuition here. Thank you, as always, for making time and space for us. Today, the topic in which we would like to discuss is forgiveness. It seems like it would be an appropriate topic to discuss, as with the holidays coming up, you'll more than likely be finding yourself needing to forgive somebody or something. The holidays usually bring out the best in us all, yes? So it'll be important, again, to have this tool at your disposal and really understand what it means to forgive. Because many of us have heard the understanding, you must forgive. It will be important for you to forgive. You'll feel so much better after you forgive. But none of us really know how the hell to actually do that. In theory, we think it is, oh, well, I'm going to verbalize to that person that hurt me that I forgive them. And then somehow, through that verbalization, that will allow me to move forward. But rarely is that actually achieved because you're missing two other steps within the forgiveness process to really actually put the closure in the situation that allowed you to feel hurt to begin with so that you could move on, both energetically and emotionally. So how we understand forgiveness, first and foremost, is that it is silent. Forgiveness is about you, not the other person. So I don't need to tell you that I forgive you. That is a luxury. And if I want to afford that to you, then that is my choice. But that does not mean that it is necessarily a part of the forgiveness process. So that is number one. Cannot emphasize and express that enough. Forgiveness is silent. So let us talk about the steps of forgiveness. There are three. The first step in forgiveness is acknowledging and realizing that someone has hurt you. It may seem simple, but that is the biggest step in which most of us get caught on. Oh, I can't believe Aunt Jenny called me fat at Thanksgiving. That son of a gun. How dare she call me fat? I can't believe it. But then, once we acknowledge that that person hurt our feelings, we will substitute something with a justification for that behavior to try and put closure on it, to try and understand it. Well, Aunt Jenny, her eyesight isn't well, so maybe, she needs to clean her glasses. She was getting me confused for the blobs on her lens, on her glasses. And because I'm telling myself this and justifying her behavior, then on some level it makes it easier to forgive her. No, because that is still us getting stuck in the first step and not allowing for the closure that is emotionally needed, that is spiritually needed, that is energetically needed to move forward. So no, I'm mad as hell. How dare Aunt Jenny? There is no excuse for that behavior. Yes, I don't care if she's blind. She still doesn't get to call me fat. Unacceptable. I'm angry. Now, that doesn't mean that we lash out. That doesn't mean that we start throwing punches at our family members. That simply means that we are acknowledging and accepting that we are angry at that behavior. That is the first step in forgiveness. We accept and we acknowledge, and we do not try and justify anybody else's behavior. We justify our own anger or sadness or frustration at the behavior that is not in congruence with how you know yourself. So the first step is acknowledging and accepting. I'm angry as hell. This is ridiculous. How dare somebody say that I'm fat? So, first step, we understand. Second step is a little bit more tricky. The first step is much easier, and that's why most of us get caught on that first step. The second step, you need a foundational understanding of this. This foundational understanding is that nobody could hurt you without your own consent. If I'm telling myself that somebody could hurt my feelings, then that means on some level they have power over me, and that simply will never be so and cannot be true. Nobody has more power over you other than you. So if somebody is hurting you, then that means on some level you are buying into their belief system of what it is that they think about you. And just because somebody thinks something about you doesn't make it true. You believe it's true because on some level you think that about yourself, and then therefore you allow it to hurt you. But that's still you allowing somebody else to hurt you, which means you're still in control. You are never the victim in that sense. Nobody has more control over you, so then therefore nobody could hurt you without your consent. So the second step is forgiving yourself, looking at yourself and forgiving yourself for looking and believing somebody else's nonsense and thinking that that could possibly be true about you. Again, the only reason why I'm getting upset about Aunt Jenny calling me fat is because on some level, I believe that about myself. I think that she's seeing something that I am not necessarily in connection to. But if I, on some level, didn't believe that I was fat, or I didn't think that my weight was an issue, it doesn't matter what Aunt Jenny says. She could call me a whale. I could care less. So the first step, I'm mad as hell at Aunt Jenny. How dare she say something like that I'm fat. And the next step is acknowledging how I have contributed to allowing myself to be hurt by her behavior. Because her behavior and her criticism is not a reflection of who it is that I am. And I know myself. So the second step is forgiving myself for allowing Aunt Jenny to have that much power and control over my construct of understanding who it is that I am to begin with. And that is a crucial step, because that is you taking responsibility for your part in what it is that has hurt you. That is you taking your power back. And when I take my power back, I immediately come back into control of the situation. Yes, I'm angry at Aunt Jenny, and that behavior really still isn't acceptable. But also, my behavior isn't acceptable, and the idea that I'm allowing her criticism to affect me. I know who I am. Maybe I do need to lose weight, or maybe I am as skinny as a beanpole. But that does not affect my concept of self. And Jenny does not have that much power and control over who it is that I know myself to be. Once you master that, the third step is relatively simple. Because the third step is realizing that you had nothing to forgive in the first place. Because Jenny doesn't really know who the hell you are. She's just projecting her own insecurities on you and thus saying outrageous comments like you're fat. But most of what it is that people say is a projection or an insecurity about themselves. And so who Aunt Jenny was really talking about was herself. You forgive yourself because Jesus. Aunt Jenny doesn't know me. I know me, and it doesn't really matter what Aunt Jenny says to begin with, because I know myself. So I forgive my responsibility, and for a second forgetting who it is that I am and thinking that that criticism is true or a reflection of me. Because again, Aunt Jenny's not really talking about me, even though that comment is directed towards me. She's talking about herself or her own insecurities. And so, again, when I realize that I'm not okay with Aunt Jenny's behavior, I forgive myself, the most important person in the room, because I allowed Aunt Jenny's behavior to, on some level, hurt me, even though that's me allowing her to hurt me, because I'm believing something that isn't true about myself. Then I realize, oh my goodness, there's nothing really here to forgive, because it's all a goddamn illusion. All of those things. Aunt Jenny's talking about herself. I'm believing what it is that she is saying is true, even though she's still talking about herself. I'm making it about me. But as soon as I switch that back and be responsible for my own play and what it is that has unfolded, I forgive myself, and then there really is nobody here to forgive. That doesn't mean that Aunt Jenny's behavior is acceptable, but it also means that I have enough closure here because I've forgiven myself, that I'm able to move on energetically and not continue to hold this, that then therefore makes it a traumatizing trigger. I'm able to move it through and let it go because it really has no bearing or reflection of me, because I know who I am. Because I know who I am, Aunt Jenny, it doesn't matter again what it is that she says. She was drinking at the time anyway. She probably doesn't know she's at a family function. So those are the 3 steps of forgiveness. Important to understand, because if I'm just getting stuck on step 1, I'm not really being able to move with fluidity to get that closure that is needed to be able to move on. And if you're not able to move on, then that means that you are getting stuck. You. Because Aunt Jenny probably forgot the crazy shit that she just said. But you are still the one that holds on to it. It ruminates over it. Keeps on bringing it up to yourself. Now every Thanksgiving, you're going to think about that crazy thing that Aunt Jenny said. And that is unfortunate for you. Because that means that you are stuck and you're not able to move freely forward, away from that construct, that criticism that really, again, has nothing to do with you to begin with. So, as always, just a little food for thought. We wish you well working with the concept of forgiveness and understanding that you are the most powerful person in the room always, and that nobody gets to tell you who it is that you are. That is only for you to say. As always, well wishes.